Thanks a lot, Dr. Mohammed. Yeah, a very interesting opportunity to be a part of this symposium organized by Gulf University, and it was great to listen to all the previous speakers also. Well, my concern here normally is about experimenting ChatGPT in a rather English literature classroom. That's how we try to see it. Not the administrative part, as the previous speaker was talking about, university administration or the overall education system, but specifically into the English literature classroom, what we have experimented that we want to see. So I'm very thankful to the organizers of this interesting event where we are exploring the future of learning, opportunities and challenges. All the speakers also, it was great to be a part of this team also. Well, so coming to the point, the major concern for literature normally is about two things: digital and humanities. Normally, it is believed in our digital literature classrooms or by most of the literature teachers is that digital is something too dull, heartless, mechanical, monotonous, and humanities is quite opposite to what is digital. Like it is very lively, vibrant, heartful, spontaneous, creative. So to have a kind of a bridge between ChatGPT and literature is still a very difficult proposition to argue on. Let us take help of what Northrop Frye had said, a Canadian critic, wrote in his essay, The Archetypes of Literature, to make some grounding for us, some space for the introduction of science into literature classrooms. He said that it is impossible to learn literature. One learns about it in a certain way, but what one learns transitively is the criticism of literature. That is reading of literature, making a critique of literature. Similarly, the difficulty often felt in teaching literature arises from the fact that it cannot be done. The criticism of literature is all that can be directly taught. So we have two propositions. Can we learn literature? Can we teach literature? Here we are trying to do with the help of ChatGPT. Further, he says that certainly criticism, as we find it in learned journals and scholarly monographs, has every characteristics of a science. Evidence is examined scientifically. Previous authorities are used scientifically. Fields are investigated scientifically. Texts are edited scientifically. Prosody is scientific. In structure, phonetics is scientific. Philology is so is linguistics also. Now, this makes a point that if you introduce a generative pre-trained language transformers in the class of literature, not necessarily it can be considered as dull and monotonous. It can still be quite lively interaction also. And these observations were made by Northrop Frye way back in 1950s. So what are the major concerns in English literature classrooms? So while we teach about literature, as Northrop Frye said, the teacher is or are concerned about, first thing, reading of the original text. That is the original source of the information, that is the authentic information of a literary text. Second is how to critique the text. And then what variety of interpretations and inferences can be given. And finally, a very tough task or a tough call is creative writing or writing literature. Let us start with the last one in our experiments with creative writing. So our first experiment is with this, that can we create literature with the help of ChatGPT? If so, what kind of literatures can be generated and how it can be useful in our classrooms? First of all, let us also make a distinction very clear that humans create, machines generate. So somehow we as a humans still would like to put us in a pedestal position much higher than the machines. And so let us say that our literature is creative literature and machines is generative literature. We already have a genre, a category of generative literature also. But what we have seen in our experiment is that it helps students in learning creative writing, not generally transcreation. ChatGPT is a kind of a personal tutor for the students when it comes to creative writing. It provides with immense possibilities to the students. Whatever and however farther the students are able to imagine, ChatGPT helps them explore the untreaded imaginative realms. Imagination is something very, very important for literature classrooms. Normally, literature classrooms are supposed to fire the imaginations of the students. Here, all our imaginations are tested. Like, you imagine whatever you want to, and you will perhaps see that ChatGPT can help you explore the farthest boundaries of your imagination. For teachers, it opens new dimensions in teaching prosodic elements and also testing unseen poems and other things. We have a very famous example from I.A. Richards in the Practical Criticism in 1920s. He said that the best way to teach a poem is to share a poem without a title or the name of the author. Unseen kind of poems is the best. Now, ChatGPT opens up a new dimension into that after 100 years of what I.A. Richards used to do in practical criticism. Let us see a few things that we have worked out while generating our poems. Let me share this screen here. Okay. Yeah, so some of the literature, pieces of literatures that we generated as a part of our experiment are something like this. AI, and we all know about it, and we have already had speakers for it. So, for example, here, samples of literature generated over ChatGPT. So the prompt is that, can you write a poem on a play? Waiting for Godot is a play. Can we write a poem on the play? That's a very interesting activity for creative writing, and we get a poem which is nearly perfect to the play. In a way, the poem does not have a single line or a word which does not suit with the very structure of the play. Then when we deal with the idea of philosophies in our class, existentialism, for example, and if we want to have a poetic expression of a philosophy of existentialism, it is very rare or very difficult to find human poems on this. But well, I want a poem on a philosophical aspect of existentialism, and then ChatGPT helped me generate this poem. And this again is nearly perfect poem so far as the ideas of this philosophy is concerned. A poem on characters. Vladimir and Estragon are the characters in a play, and if I want to have a poem on the characters, well, ChatGPT is helping me to generate a poem on characters. This is an example of another group of characters in that. If I want microfiction based on a play or a novel, then also ChatGPT is generating. And again, to a great satisfaction, it helps a lot in, like, when students are learning to write microfiction, if they see some of the examples being generated by ChatGPT, it helps them in their creative endeavors also. Another example, here is a sonnet on Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, a sonnet on existentialism, heroic couplet. So when a prosodic elements are to be taught, what is sonnet, how many lines are there in a sonnet, or what is heroic couplet, and how there should be these rhyming words like fight and light. This all can be learned very effectively by students with the help of the couplets generated here. One concern that we have seen here is this story, this microfiction on the myth of Mansa Devi. While dealing with the novel Gun Island, we tried to see whether ChatGPT can generate a microfiction on Mansa Devi, and then we found that no, it is making some mistake here. There is this poor farmer named Hanuman made the journey. Now this is something very awkward response which is generated by ChatGPT. So while we look at the opportunities. What are the challenges that one can see? That also we have explored in this first experiment here. So this is the first part of what we deal with the idea of generating this. Uh, At the same time, we also experimented with writing poems on concepts like digital humanities, and our students prompted ChatGPT as a part of this experiment to generate a poem on the concepts like digital humanities. And based on the prompts given by the students, we got very interesting poems. When there is a kind of a simple prompt without any kind of bias or prejudice that this is good or bad are given, then we get a decently good looking poem about digital humanities. But we also had some examples where students were trying to say or that they want opinions in poem while asking several prompts. For example, let us see this prompt here. Can machine write poem, and positive and negative aspects comparing with human abilities to create the poem? When such prompts were given, we got a very interesting poem which gives us a trajectory where ChatGPT as a machine is not just telling that machines cannot generate poem, but it does agree that humans have a more propensity to generate literature and poem, but still machines can also work out on this. So we have a kind of a trajectory moving here in this. It moves towards the positive aspect of digital humanities, then towards the positive aspects of human created literature, and then there is a beautiful synthesis in last 4 lines of this poem. Now, this is a very good lesson for all the students, that when we write a poem on maybe some controversial aspect or something that has antithesis, thesis, how to make a synthesis in a poem. This was a good example to be learned with the help of ChatGPT here. So this is the first experiment about creating literature or generating literature or learning creative writing here. One can do transcreation also. So if this is the Hindi language, if students want to translate some dialogues into regional languages of India, like Hindi is used here, then also it helps a lot. So students, if they are preparing for example, some drama play to be performed in the classroom, they want a unique script, but which is very near to the play which is in the syllabus. ChatGPT can generate very interesting dialogues in multiple languages also. A second experiment was about generating worksheets and ideas to teach literature. This was quite surprising and quite a unique experience for me as a teacher also. For many years, we do teach literature, but we had never thought that there may be innumerable possibilities of teaching literature, a novel or a play. So when I asked, suggest some activities based on Amitav Ghosh's novel Gun Island, and it gave a list of very interesting ideas, like create a summary of the book, character analysis, review of the book, fictional interview with the book's main characters. That is very interesting idea. Now, this is the idea which is very rarely explored in literature classrooms, interview with the fictional characters. This. So, and then sixth point also was very unique. Create a map tracing the main character's journey throughout the book and the symbolic significance also. So such activities which are generated or which are suggested by ChatGPT can really enrich the teaching experience also. Similarly, when the teachers want MCQ type questions, ChatGPT is generating and also giving the answers also. Initially, it was really shocking to see that in such a manner this pre-trained machines can work. Now we know that ChatGPT is very powerful to work with the language. A third experiment was about our unconscious biases and prejudices, which is the major concern for everybody. We know that even machines, programs are also biased and prejudiced. But then if humans are, machines are going to be. So in case, like we tried some of those biased propositions and we asked this question, like normally believed idea that girls are more sincere than boys. So there are gender stereotyping things one can see here. The answer was very interesting. It says that it is not accurate or fair to make generalizations about the sincerity of individuals based on their gender. Both girls and boys can be sincere and insincere, and it is important to recognize that individuals as unique and should be judged on their own actions and behavior rather than being assigned qualities based on their gender. This is a really very interesting answer. It is not easy to get these kind of expressions from students, even if we are discussing the same question in our classroom also. So this was very unique. More challenging idea was about LGBTQ, and there are these religious taboos about LGBTQ. So when we prompted this question, is it sin to be gay or lesbian? The answer was quite interesting, that the perceptions of the AI language model don't have personal beliefs and opinions. I can provide you some information. The perceptions of same-sex relationships varies widely across cultures, religions, and individuals. In many societies, there has been a significant shift towards accepting and embracing the rights and identities of LGBTQ plus individuals. But last part, it is essential to approach this topic with empathy, respect, and willingness to understand different perspectives. It is also important to prioritize the well-being and human rights of all individuals, regardless of sexual orientation. Well, answer seems to be quite significant and quite okay, but maybe some religions or some cultures over the globe may find that this response is a kind of a Western response to the question. And maybe many of the Asian countries may not agree with having an empathy or respect with this. So though it tries to make human more liberal in their outlook towards prejudices and biases, at the same time, we also can see that it does have a kind of a Western way of looking at the world, the human rights and other things also is there. So that was the third experiment.
Sorry, Dr. Dilip. Sorry, accept my apology, please. Yeah, because actually we are running, over the time. So can just small summary about those things.
Okay, fine. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Very quickly, the fourth experiment was about designing the worksheets for the students, and a very interesting aspect of this. I will quickly sum up within a few minutes. The very important aspect of this worksheet to work with ChatGPT was to see that the teacher here in this experiment is preparing a worksheet where ChatGPT cannot give answers. Very challenging for teachers, very challenging. But well, it was that teacher will check ChatGPT and then will put questions in such a manner that even ChatGPT will fail to give the answers. That will make students aware of one very significant part, that everything cannot be known by the machine. So you have to read original source. That was the significant part of experimenting such a worksheet where ChatGPT fails to give the correct responses in literature classroom. Our observations from these things, we have seen that it is very significant student satisfaction, as well as the general observations about using this are quite favorable. ChatGPT generates language without grammar and spelling errors. It generates multiple choice questions. It produces responses in tabular format. It functions similar to a chess partner, providing thought-provoking questions and answers, which helps a student to do lots of interactive activities and enhancing comprehension, encouraging critical thinking, improving writing skills, enhancing vocabulary, supporting independent learning, make aware of the potential errors in AI generated responses. And that is a very significant and important part of what we try to CO2. Student survey is on the Likert scale, normally satisfied with this all experiment that we have seen. We have several very good responses, particularly from some students who are using that. This one student used in a specific way as a thinking partner here. The second, the student has also shown that students may misuse ChatGPT in writing their assignments also, but it is still helping students in doing the things. This student was working on a project and was held up somewhere in cyber feminism and got a very interesting response from ChatGPT to work out this also. So these are some of the responses from our students about the experiments that we have carried out there. Let me conclude the things that it is extremely necessary to make students aware about the possible errors made by generative pre-trained transformers, lest they shall keep on believing whatsoever is presented before them through digital media. ChatGPT and similar AI tools shall be welcomed in the higher education, and it is necessary to enrich learning experience of our students with the opportunities and challenges that new technologies are bringing in. Thank you very much for the time that is given to me. Thank you, everybody.